What is up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer. I'm a full-time data analyst and a full-time IT baddie. On this channel, we do everything tech related, from vlogs, advice, you name it. So if you like what you see in here, don't forget to click subscribe, share, like, and do all of the nice things as we get into today's lesson. So guys, I think into today's lesson, I'm actually going to delve deeper into the fact that corporate is forever high school. A lot of you guys think that corporate is kind of like the equivalent of going to a prestigious university where everybody is prim and proper, no mistakes are made. I mean, some companies do work like that, but the average company that you're going to bump into sometimes either acts normally or they have deranged things going on. So I want you to not be shocked if you go into a corporate environment and you see people acting like they're 12-year-old, okay? The realities of being in a corporate space is that you're going to bump into a lot of individuals with different personalities. Like, some will be racist, some will be the kindest people that you'll ever meet, some will be a little bit slower to grasp topics than others. Others are fast paced. Like, just because there's no grading system like there is in high school doesn't mean that the people that were once in high school have now disappeared, and you're not going to find bullies there. You're not going to find people who want to exert dominance once they get a position of power. It all just feels like high school all over again in some companies. And let me tell you something, just because you're in a corporate environment doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't expect to see people who will try their luck and do uncouth behavior or do something that is very out of line, right? Because I will tell you, there was a time where I heard stories of this specific company where their HR person was actually involved in SA, actually, or, harassment towards women. And certain people report to that individual, and at the end of the day they still kept their job because they knew people. Nepotism is also a thing in corporate, by the way. So also, don't be too alarmed. Just because you hear of these certain cases doesn't necessarily mean that all companies work the same way. A lot of companies do work according to strict regulations, where if you do get accused of certain things, you do go through disciplinary hearings and you may get fired, because at the end of the day, companies do also have to abide by the law. So just because you hear these certain stories and like certain instances where people don't get justice served to them doesn't necessarily mean that it's all the same in corporate. So sometimes you will find those rare cases like the HR person who keeps their jobs, but more often than not, they do go through a whole process of trying to gather evidence and making sure that, if they're going to dismiss you because of certain accusations, they're dismissing you properly so that they don't have a case against them. Also, beyond that, like, what I think is so equivalent to high school is being asked permission for leave. So you can't just take your leave without permission. So if you decide, okay, today I don't want to go to work and I'm taking leave, yeah, that doesn't work. You have to tell your manager in advance so that they can plan accordingly for your absence. And sometimes they can actually reject your leave. So yeah, that's the equivalent of when we had to ask to go to the bathroom or ask to, go somewhere to a teacher's class or whatever, and the teacher would tell you no for whatever reason. So it can happen the same way in corporate, to be honest. I'm not too sure I'm a fan of that, but it is what it is. Also, I think another thing that you may or may not bump into during your corporate era could be the cheating scandals. Like, there are so many cheating scandals that sometimes happens in certain companies, and it's so strange because you would look at this person, you would think that no, they abide by code of conduct. Meanwhile, during the year-end function, they're out here trying to get a mistress or a Ben 10, and some of them even go as far as to try and break a marriage. I think it's so interesting. It's so interesting. It reminds me of the high school drama that I used to see, where people would cheat on each other and they would be fighting to get this one guy who doesn't even like them. It's kind of like similar in some companies. So some companies do have that scandal. So just make sure that you watch out for those. Also, guys, if you're the type of person to cook lunch, just know in some companies, people will be stealing your lunch. Like, there was a time when one of my managers brought me Sprites because we were having this other meeting, so she decided to buy me Sprites. And then when I put it on the fridge and I wanted to collect it the next day, someone stole my Sprite. I've never forgiven that person, whoever they are. When I catch you, I'm telling you, when I catch you, it's on site. So just bear in mind that some people will be stealing your lunch like they would in high school or they would in varsity when you share those fridges. Some people are going to be stealing your lunch. So I think the last topic that I think you should be wary of when it comes to corporate is that some people in corporate, when they get into positions of power, which means like being a manager or an executive or just being promoted in general, some of them tend to abuse their power and try to bully others. And it is so important that you take care of your mental health and you also stand up for yourself, because a lot of the times, like similar to high school, when you do allow somebody to bully you, they're going to continuously pick on you unless you stand up for yourself and also report them to the right channels. So I say this to say that I've seen a fair amount of instances where people would get bullied. There was a time where I was also bullied myself in a company, and I made sure to stand up for myself. I made sure to continuously stand up for myself, because even if you think that I'm younger than you, or maybe you don't like the way I operate, that's fine. But we're grown adults and you shouldn't be exerting your power to systematically oppress people. So, in as much as a few of the topics that I mentioned in this video were lighthearted, please do make sure to take care of your mental health and make sure to stand up for yourself. Otherwise, the bullying is going to be continuous, and you don't want to cry when you go to work and, just have your mood dampened because somebody is picking on you. Like, that is not allowed. That's not tolerable. And also, if you can, document your evidence and report that person to the CCMA if all else fails. Okay guys, so we've made it to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all of the nice things as you await for the next lesson.